Thank you for attending Good Returns Gender Lens Investing session. I'm Fifi Rashando. I manage Good Returns Gender Lens investment teams to support agricultural value chain financing and build inclusive economies in the Asia Pacific regions. I will provide you with a brief introduction to Good Return and our journey in gender lens investing in the agricultural sector. We started with our partnership with Pan-Oceanic Bank in the Solomon Islands, then built gender-lens investing partnerships with Chamrun, a microfinance institution in Cambodia, and Crowdy, a local agri-fintech in Indonesia. At the end of my presentation, Afifa, Crowdy's head of impact and gender champion, will share how our partnership addresses the struggles and barriers women face to access market opportunities, technology, and finance. Good Return is an international development agency that works across the Asia Pacific region to deliver economic and social development programs for the financially and socially excluded. We are committed to establishing strong partnerships with local financial institutions to build national inclusive economic growth. We have a mission to enable those living in poverty in the Asia Pacific region to achieve economic empowerment through responsible financial inclusion and capability development. Good Return holds an Australian financial service license that enable us to raise and deploy investment funds. Our program focuses on three areas: providing funding for micro and small businesses, training to help people manage their money and businesses, training for local financial institutions to make their services more inclusive and to meet standards for responsible service provisions. We partner with local financial institutions, central banks, government agencies, and civil society organizations to enhance financial literacy skills and advance economic inclusion of vulnerable people, including women and people with disabilities. We have developed a theory of change that articulates how our work impacts on partner organizations and how it contributes to the communities that they serve, especially women and people with disabilities. It also provides evidence of our progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Our work is most closely with SDG 1, 5, 8, and 17. Leave no one behind is the central premise of the SDGs. By working to mainstream gender equality through our social inclusion programs, we are making a commitment as an organization to leave no one behind. Good Return has chosen SME financing because it is the backbone of many emerging economies. It provides employment for more than half of the labor force. We have specifically chosen gender lens investing in the agricultural sector to support inclusive economic growth, improve the financial well-being of farming communities, advance agricultural value chain financing, entrepreneurship, and employment for women, and also support food security. According to the World Bank, growth in agriculture is 2 to 3 times more effective at reducing poverty than an equivalent amount of growth generated in other sectors. We can see the urgent need to address rural poverty as 70% of the world's extremely poor live in rural areas. In addition, during crises like COVID-19 pandemic, the agricultural sector sustained the economies of emerging countries. It is the only sector that has grown positively during COVID-19 pandemic in some emerging countries. Tragically, COVID-19, the Delta variant sweeping through, have made women's circumstances even worse. How? They face obstacles to receiving Social Security from the government. Almost half of women in emerging economies are financially excluded. During these COVID disasters, having a bank account is equivalent to having an ID and being able to access social security payments from the government. Women are farmers, wage earners, and entrepreneurs. They often work while also taking on household duties, collecting wood, water, and caring for children and the elderly. They make huge contributions to their communities by creating jobs and incomes for others, and therefore contributing to their economies. However, rural women continue to lack access to finance, technology, land, market opportunities, training, and support. This is because of gender based inequality and discrimination. Good Return has observed some challenges in gender equality mainstreaming. In general, we can see three key challenges. The first challenge is the political will of our own institution. How many of you have got this response from others when you mention gender equality mainstreaming? We are not a feminist or women organizations. We should include everyone, not just women. This is, of course, what my colleagues and I have experienced when we propose women programs. The second challenge to gender equality mainstreaming is identifying and tackling our unconscious bias against gender. Unconscious bias often means that stereotypes and biases can be unintentionally taken against women. As a result, this can hinder their businesses. The third challenge is influencing the political will of our implementing partners. To have gender equality endorsement from our leadership is a bonus. However, we still need to influence our colleagues, social investors, financial institution partners, and others in the field. This commitment is evidenced in the leadership willingness to deploy funding and resources towards gender equality mainstreaming efforts. Good Return promotes women empowerment programs and show our partners that our technical assistance will enable them to be an inclusive and responsible financial service provider. We explain that this will help them be aware of their clients' needs, especially women who have specific needs and demands for product and services. We also support our partners to provide SDG reporting to their financial authority and their stakeholders and comply with the responsible investment principles in agriculture and food systems, which includes gender equality as one of their principles. Good Return also provides gender equality mainstreaming support to our partners in the form of organizational self-assessment assistance. The ultimate goal is the creation and implementation of a gender action plan to champion workplace gender equality. This is led by two gender champions, one male and one female senior manager, and two gender focal points, one male and one female staff within the organization. The gender team facilitates focus group discussions and plays a significant role in forming the final gender action plan. Quantitative and qualitative data is collected using an organizational survey in addition to department-specific focus group discussions. This data is used to create a final gender self-assessment report with recommendation, which is then culminated in a gender action plan. So, how does the Good Return Impact Investment Fund work? Good Return leverages capital from impact first investors to stimulate financing for and improve lending confidence in agricultural SMEs. SMEs owners, especially women, lack the collaterals that traditional banks request and therefore are less likely to access the credit they need to grow. This impact investment fund is used to provide loan guarantees for SMEs in the Asia Pacific regions. Credit guarantees such as this help mitigate risk for lenders by covering a portion of losses on loans where the risk of default on repayment is high. This greatly benefits those that are led by women in the agricultural sector. Lenders are more likely to participate in this fund because there is less risk for them, because it's guaranteed that if there is a loss, that at least some of the loss will be absorbed by a third party. In addition to loan guarantees by good return, public credit guarantee schemes are a common form of government interventions to unlock finance for SMEs by incentivizing formal lending by more risk-averse investors. However, while these public credit guarantee schemes are available in some countries, the criteria and process of accessing these guarantees often leave them underutilized. In turn, this means that for women in the agricultural sector, without collateral, land titles, bank accounts, or financial records, access to finance is more difficult. Therefore, while public credit guarantee schemes are in place, they do not necessarily provide the impetus for the banks to provide financing for women. Since inception, Good Returns Investment Fund has received support from the Australian government, UNESCAP, and social investors. Now, let's look at a case study. Good Returns' first impact investment of $50,000 in the Solomon Islands involved partnering with a local bank, Pan Oceanic Bank, and a social business, Coconut Pacific. The guarantees enable Coconut Pacific to sell direct micro-expelling equipment to rural SMEs, helping farmers to increase and diversify their incomes by producing high-quality virgin coconut oil. Coconut Pacific was able to buy these to supply to international markets. Additionally, a gender value chain analysis identifies areas to strengthen gender equitable workplace practices supporting business sustainability. Loans totaling $125,000 were made by Pan Oceanic Bank, and these financed 5 SMEs and generated income and employment for 72 people in remote communities, earning an average income of $2,200 per year. Let's look at another example case study of aquaculture value chain financing in Cambodia. The aquaculture value chain financing in Cambodia in general generates 80,000 jobs. Good Returns Impact Investment Partnership with Chamron, a microfinance institution, strengthen local actors in the aquaculture value chain to compete with imported fish from neighboring countries and enhance inclusiveness in the value chain, especially for women. During the first half of 2021, 63 jobs in the aquaculture value chains were sustained through the loan guarantee. 11 SMEs in the aquaculture value chain have now accessed a combined $440,000 in loans to expand their activities, with 27% of these going to women enterprises. And finally, let's consider a case study of agricultural value chain financing in Indonesia. Good Return has developed a partnership with Crowdy, a startup agri-fintech in Indonesia. It is a locally owned agri-fintech founded by Indonesian millennials with a vision to empower farmers to be agripreneurs instead of staying as cheap laborers on their own lands. Crowdy is one of the very few agri-fintechs in Indonesia. There are more than 250 fintechs in Indonesia, but they mainly focus on urban areas, and only a few agri-fintechs specialize in agricultural lending and hire staff with agricultural backgrounds. COVID-19 has pushed 1.1 million Indonesians into poverty. An estimated 30 million Indonesians fell into poverty this year, worse than Indonesia experienced after the global financial crisis. Good Return can see the agricultural sector sustain Indonesia economy in crisis. According to the Central Statistic Agency (BPS), in early August 2020, Indonesia economic growth was minus 5.32% on the annual basis. Of all sectors, during the COVID pandemic, only the agriculture sector has grown positively, 2.19% annually. During 2009 crisis, the economic growth was minus 3.6%, and the agricultural sector grew 4.8% annually. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, through Good Returns partnership with Crowdy, during the first half of 2021, 370 jobs have been sustained in Indonesia. 51 SMEs in the chili, corn, and paddy value chains have received uncollateralized loans of 2.1 billion rupiahs from Crowdy, backed by good returns guarantees. And 75% of these SMEs are women-owned enterprises. With our loan guarantee, Crowdy provides unsecured loans to women farmers to reduce food wastage and increase productivity in the chili agricultural value chains. It is incredible to know how local millennials with agricultural degrees are assisting women farmers to complete the product life cycle from farm to market. Women farmers also receive packaging training. The chili products are prepared for market and are now available in local modern retailers. Now, without further ado, I will now hand over to Afifa, Crowdy's Head of Impact and Gender Champion, to introduce her fintech and share her insights on gender lens investing in Indonesia.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Afifa Rufani, the Head of Impact and Partnership at Crowdy. Greeting from Jakarta, where it is a bit cloudy here, but here I am going to tell you about a bright story about a bright personality in agri sector in Indonesia. In Indonesia, we have been doing agriculture as part of our culture from generation to generation. It is actually quite interesting because we know stuff that usually other people from other countries don't really know, but we know it because it's there. The knowledge is there without us wanting it anyway. But yeah, as an agrarian country, we do have a lot of smallholder farmers who work for agribusiness ever since they was a child. And one of them is Santi, one of our women agropreneurs partner in West Java area. She lives and has been providing for her family. She has one husband, one daughter, and one son. And she provides the family from the agribusiness that she's working on. She has been doing agriculture because her parents taught her to do it from the from the beginning, and she has been doing a lot in the past, but she is currently focusing on in chili value chain. She is doing from seedling, planting, treating the pest or avoiding the pest, and also harvesting on her own, doing it on her small little farm in Sukabumi area, West Java. And then with the pandemic hits, it is more likely that she needs to do more in order to earn more. And she think, how can she provide better for her family during this hard time? And one of them is to increase or scale up the business of hers. And what she knows is the agriculture, and she is planning to scale up the business in chili value chain. And in order to do so, she is planning on her head how to do it, and she needs more workers to support her in order to get more market access, because she usually sell it to the wet market. In order to get a better pricing, then she needs to supply to the modern retail. And in order to do so, she needs to have this quota to produce chili. Then she is eligible to supply to the modern retail with a better pricing. And in order to do so, then she needs a better agri inputs quality and quantity, like more fertilizer, more seeds definitely, and probably involving some machinery in the working. And all in all, if those are the things that she needs the money or the funding or the capital in order to do so. That's when she realizes producing this best chili is not easy, and getting access of financing. She went going around asking for financing because she can't afford it on her own. Then she asked if the banks can do it for her, and then she got the information that she needs the collateral. You can imagine there are many struggles for women working in every sector, because how much more difficult can life be for a woman whose husband has deserted her or passed away, because the lack of documentary evidence that finance service providers require in order to access loans is not making it easier for women. This is where the difference between genders is magnified in agri value chain. Would you believe when the husband dies, the land doesn't go to the widow, but it goes straight to the brother or in-laws, who is the male family members? And banks discriminate more harshly against widows than to the single women, because they are categorized as the high-risk people. And Santi, on her case, doesn't have the collateral on her own name. It's on the husband's name or in other male family members' name. And she doesn't have the access to get loan from the bank. So what she does is she asks around a bit more and find another alternative access to financing. And that's when she met Crowdy. Crowdy here is trying to revolutionize the agriculture industry by giving the access to capital and technology innovation. What we do here is we see the problems that 87% of women entrepreneurs were severely affected during the pandemic. And we see the potential as well that majority of Indonesians are living in rural areas. We depend on agri-sector a lot. It's 82% of us. And the fun fact here, or not so fun fact here, is out of 10 people, only two farmers have the access to financing to start the business or survive the business. So we are here, Crowdy is here to give 4 solutions. First is the access to fair price of market. So with better pricing offer from the market, the farmers can have a better income. And second, the access to useful information. For example, what is the good agriculture practice? What is the best way to capture a new market? And what is the way to prevent such pests or diseases on the plant in order to have a more productive output of harvest? And the third is access to quality and quantity secured supplies. When they scale up the business, they need more supply, right? So they need to know where to buy it, where to get it, or what the quality is best for their business. And the engine of all is the fourth one, which is the access to financing, which is not necessarily easy to get. And this is how we support a business like Santi's. So when the farmers request for loan, we assess them, not based on only the credit history of the person, but also the business potential, the agribusiness potential. For example, what's the soil condition? What's the market condition? How can the business capture the potential or the market momentum? And that's when we assess them and give more opportunities for wider people or crowd. And when we approve on it, we create this lending agreement and connect the borrowers to the lenders. The institutional lenders that we work on has the risk profile that we match with the agribusiness that we choose. And this is when it gets more interesting, because instead of giving them cash as the capital, they will be receiving in the form of items. So they will be receiving seeds, fertilizers that we distribute through or via the supply shops in the nearby area. So the farmers can not only focus on cultivation and not to focus on managing the money. They can focus on what they're doing best, which is cultivation. And when the times of repayment comes, they will send the producers off to off-takers or the buyers, and the buyers will send the sales money back to Crowdy, and Crowdy will be responsible to split it. So the loan goes back to lenders and the profit back to the borrowers. And this is where it is a closed loop financing ecosystem that is more efficient and more effective. And not only that, during the process, we do the risk mitigation with the cashless disbursement system, of course. And second, we do the close monitoring by our trained field agents in each local area. So during the process, the communication is easier and also more localized based on the farmers region. And then we also have the insurance bundling program. So apart from the closed loop ecosystem we have double layer with the insurance, so the borrowers can choose whether to get credit insurance, crop insurance, or the upcoming one is the weather-based insurance. And the third one is because we connect stakeholders digitally to the borrowers, we have the options to connect the off-takers with a fair price, and we take it with the harvest absorption scheme. So the farmers will not repay us in money calculation. They will repay us on tonnage calculation, so how much chili they produce. So this can help with the fluctuative price happening in the market. We will take the risk, but also comes with a price. And that's how we do what we do. But this product alone has resulted that our borrowers are 80% are males, and actually less than 20% are female. Women borrowers are way less than we expected. And how we do it and how we increase it, or how can we include more women in the agri sector? And that's when the Good Return team comes and introduce us to loan guarantee scheme. And we've been doing this for almost a year. Good Return guaranteed the loan that the smallholder farmers take. And these schemes allow more women to have the financing access, because despite the first time borrowing, they don't need to concern about the collateral issue. And this loan guaranteed scheme also allows Crowdy to include more women borrowers, because the non-performing loan scoring only will not be our only concern, because we can be more at ease with the support of Good Return. And this also triggers the demand of women entrepreneurs to have the financial literacy, because they need to get themselves ready in order to manage their own business, right? So they are demanding more education in order to grow. And one success story of Santi invites so many other people, especially women borrowers, to try out what it takes to be an amazing entrepreneurs. And with Good Return, we managed to have the impacts all across Indonesia, which explained here. We have been disbursing more than $200,000 loans guaranteed. We have been supporting more than 50 borrowers within the first 6 months, and we have been creating more jobs, 1,000 plus jobs in the agri sector, and 76 more women have the chance to grow business because of this program. It won't stop here though. Crowdy commits to the sustainable development goals that we are going to boost the income of the smallholder farmers by 150% and more. So there should be no poverty in this world. And we support to produce more food by having the loan, so better productivity for the farmers. We are going to make the process easier, faster, so zero hunger is possible. And we are including more women, more people inclusively into the inclusive economic growth by boosting the productivity and create more jobs. So we can have decent jobs and economic growth, not only in Indonesia, but the world. And I know it's a long journey, but bear with us. It's worth the struggle for Indonesia. Thank you so much for listening to Santi's story and our journey with Fit Return and the gender mainstreaming agenda. And we are happy to tell you that we're still doing the project and wish us luck to do more because we're here to do more for the women agripreneurs and the smallholder farmers in Indonesia. Thank you so much and have a great day.